of taxes. So taxes in this first box are just going to be that sum of money that is demanded by the government. So we are paying that in order for the government to support itself, as well as offer some specific facilities and services to the taxpayers. And who are the taxpayers? We are the taxpayers, those of us who pay national, state, county, or local taxes. Last note guide, we did talk about federal and state taxes. You are paying 3 different types. So in addition to the national and the state income tax, you're also going to be paying a local tax as well to either your county or your city. And throughout the course of the semester, we're going to be talking about communities. We'll use that in a variety of ways. So we have a community just being a group of people with common interests, and ideally the concern for the common good and the well-being of others. So that's the definition of a community right here. And then communities may include these 4 different types of community. So we can think in the broad scheme, we can think of the United States as a whole. We can think slightly more specific where we are looking at the state, so the community of Missouri. We can think of our county, the Clay County community, and then we can even be more specific and think of our specific city. So we can think of the Liberty community. Those are the 4 different types of communities that we will address. And these are just some benefits of being part of the community. So by paying our local taxes, state taxes and federal taxes, we are able to gain access to things that we would not be able to afford on our own. So having updated roads with road repairs, being able to get funding for public schools and public libraries, funding our local police and fire departments, as well as our parks and recreation, so having maintained trails, having maintained public parks. And then when we think about the federal taxes, that's what's going to go for the military and national security. Those are all benefits of being a part of these communities. These are the 5 types of taxes. Last week we covered income tax and payroll tax. Today we're going to focus on the other 3. We are going to very quickly touch, just as a recap, on income and property, or income and payroll, and then we're going to focus on property, sales, and excise. So when we think about income, we're going to be looking at earned and unearned income. So earned income is going to be what you are used to. So the money that you make for doing a job and having a formal employer. So any hourly wages, a salaried amount, any tips that you gain through your physical job are going to be earned income. Unearned income are things that you did not have to put any work into. So an example could be that if you have a savings account that you earn interest on, that interest that you've gained in the last year is going to be unearned income. Another example of this would be the $20 that you get in your birthday card from your grandparents. You did not do any work. This is not from employment, so that is unearned income. The main difference is that the interest from a savings account has a paper trail. It comes from a financial institution, so the government can see that. The government does not know that you were able to get $20 from your grandparents, but they do know about the interest that you earned on your account. Some components that make up our income tax are the federal and the state income tax added together. Makes up your total income tax. So federal, again, just as a recap, is going to be that earned and unearned income. So the higher your income, the more taxes that you pay. It's going to be paid by a majority of the people living in the United States. And it's going to help fund our federal government, and especially some programs like our public education, the defense, the national security, military defense of the nation, and then disaster relief programs. State income is going to be essentially the same thing, just on a smaller scale. So remember that not all states even have a state income. If your state does not have a state income, then this is not something that you have to pay. And this is going to fund those smaller local projects like state highways, and then some miscellaneous operations within our state government. Payroll tax is going to be that Social Security and the Medicare, something that we did not talk about last week but was in the Ed Puzzle videos. is that Social Security and Medicare put together are known as FICA. A lot of times when we are looking at our pay stub, it won't show us the amount that we paid to Social Security and the amount that we paid to Medicare separately. It will show us the sum of those numbers, and it will be indicated by FICA. So this is that set percentage that is coming out of earned income, not unearned income. You will only pay from FICA from your earned income. It's going to be paid by employees and matched by employers. And it's going to be the Social Security and Medicare. Medicare is going to be I think I skipped past this. Social Security is going to be the income for retirees, those with a profound disability, and then those who have either lost a parent or lost a spouse. Whereas Medicare is health care or health insurance for senior citizens. Alrighty, and now we get into the new information. So property tax. This is going to be a tax that you pay whenever you purchase new large items, like buying land. You may buy an acre of land. You're going to be paying property tax on that. If you are not renting a home, but you purchase a home, you would pay property tax on that, as well as motor vehicles. So if you buy a car, a boat, an RV, you're going to be paying a property tax on that. And that is going to be a percentage of the property value. So the more expensive the car is, the higher property tax you are going to pay. The amount will change depending on where you live. So some areas have a higher tax rate than others. Next, we have sales tax. This is what you are most used to. Pretty much everything that we purchase has a sales tax attached to it. So it's just going to be a percentage that is added on to the original price of an item. Most states have between 5 to 8% of sales tax. I think Missouri's is around 7%. This is going to be paid by the person who buys that item, but remember, again, some states don't have sales tax, just like some states don't have income tax. And then we have excise tax. So this is going to be collected from the seller or the retailer, not the consumer. So in order for a seller to sell this item, they are going to upfront pay this excise tax. Because they are paying that at the beginning, they are likely going to increase the price of that item to try and make up some of that money. So this may be on some heavily used items like gasoline, might be on some luxury items like hotel rooms, airplane tickets, or imported goods. And then it might even be on things that the local government is trying to discourage the purchase of, like cigarettes or alcohol. This amount is going to vary by location, and it is again going to just help some expenses in the the local governments. So these tax rates are determined by the public representatives that we have elected into power. So if we're thinking local, we're going to be thinking of the city councils and the county commissioners. If we are thinking at the state level, this is going to be our state representatives. And if we are looking at national, it's going to be Congress. So we, as the taxpayers, are the voters. We have elected these people into office to try and speak on our well-being. And then taxes and money management, they definitely intertwine quite a bit. So remember, we are paying taxes before we actually make any money, and we are paying taxes with the money that we have earned. So we're paying taxes before we make any money and after we make money. And adding it all up, this is oftentimes the largest expense for most people, particularly if they owe money at the end of the year. If you are not managing your tax liability, you may owe several $1,000s when you complete your taxes in April. And for a lot of people, that is the largest expense they would have in the entire year, paying that few $1,000s in taxes. And that is where our note guide comes to an end.